Tamara is an expert. Jesus Christ, I'm not reading and now I don't know what to say anymore.
Welcome to the shit show, friends and fans.
Welcome back, friends, to Divine Feminine Radio. I'm your host, Rani Kala, here today with the beautiful Tamara Rose, the founder of the Divine Success Method, the creator of the Divine Self-Mastery Program, and also my sister. If this is your first time joining us, this is where Tamara gets to share her exclusive expertise with the world, and we're so excited to have you with us for the next 60 minutes. Maybe 70, sometimes we go over, but Tamara, I think today is a great day to dive into receiving, this divine feminine energy of receiving, and maybe why women are not so great at doing it.
Yeah.
Do you know the reason why women are not so great at receiving?
Of course I do.
Oh, thank God. We have an expert with us today.
Here.
Thank goodness. Well, I think before we go into receiving from women, I think there is a comment that we have received. So synchronous that we've received this comment.
Synchronistic?
Yes, from last week's episode.
We are on a roll today.
We're so on a roll.
It's only taken us an hour to get started.
Oh
what
my
the
gosh.
fuck is
We've
going
had a
on?
couple.
Happy
we've had a
Friday.
couple. This will be released on Tuesday.
We don't drink, by the way. Like, this is a sober show. Like, it's great. Let's keep going.
We've had a couple issues this morning, but we're doing fantastic. All right. We had a comment on last week's episode on the origins of patriarchy versus matriarchy. Tamara, I am going to read it to you in real time, and this is going to be our practice of receiving for ourselves and for women everywhere.
And we're going to talk about receiving in general and open up the floodgates of receiving from like the male counterpart and his opinion on matriarchy.
Unasked for opinion, but it's okay.
Let's go. Yeah.
All right. So, quote, patriarchy is natural and formed from logistical considerations regarding distribution of labor.
Okay, wait, stop right there. Okay, I gotta interrupt. Like, I don't know how many fucking sentences this guy like leaned in and really spent his time. It's natural. Comes from logistics. Literally, like if you were in a court of law, you'd be like, that is an oxymoron. Like, you just said natural and then comes from logistics. It's like literally two different things, motherfucker. And if you're going to tell me that it's like it's based in natural, don't start justifying with logistics. Okay, but let's keep going. Yeah, let's hear about how patriarchy's natural. Tell me more.
So, from logistical considerations regarding distribution of labor between child rearing, vulnerability, and expendability.
What are we expending? What is the expendability? Is it the children's lives? Like, patriarchy is like, abortion's not okay, but like we're not taking care of actual children or like the homeless or like Medicare or Medicaid, like what? So it's expendable. Okay, I'm sorry, I got stuck on expendability for this yahoo. Okay, so it's logistical in nature. Tell me more. What is this guy? What in the whole?
So
the whole episode was literally the history of where matriarchy is naturally imbalanced, and this dude is like, no, patriarchy is patriarchy. What we went into, by the way, if you don't listen to that one, you should go listen to that one. But like what we went into was like the structures and the systems of shame and guilt and like systems that don't work and how women aren't honored and like men are ruling and like. Okay, first of all, can we just identify the fact that like when we are in school, what do they always say? They're like, oh, women are ahead of the curve. Men are slower to the game, right? At what point did that flip? Because I don't see it flipping. Like, oh, and P.S., women are emotional. The billionaire and the most powerful man are like having a fucking divorce right now on social media, and they're acting out like a bunch of emotional teenagers.
2-year-olds.
And I'm going to say teenage boys, because I think they're acting out more emotionally than like any woman I've ever fucking seen in my whole life. And they're doing it publicly. Like, what?
I think teenagers is giving them too much credibility. I think we
They're
should say
2-year-old temperatures.
2-year-olds. Like they're like,
Temperatures.
Mom, so and so doesn't want to play with me anymore. Like that's the energy
I'm
behind it.
like, all of the skeletons are coming out of the closet, and you're
Oh,
like, yeah,
it's
keep
so
going. We all
great.
knew it. Tell
It's
us
so
more.
great. Like it is the epitome of divine feminine where we didn't. I'm gonna go on a tangent before I keep reading the
Yes.
rest of this
See,
comment, but like
we can't even get through the one comment because
it's
what the
fine.
fuck, motherfucker?
But it's the epitome of divine feminine to where we didn't have to do anything. We're just going to let them fight it out themselves and let it crumble. And what if this was the pathway to the most ease of like having all of these skeletons come out of the closet to where we didn't have to have like, I mean, there are things in process right now of like the recounting of the ballots and the votes and like other things on the back end and the back
The
burner. But
bill, our big beautiful bill, not like now it's like challenged with actually getting passed. Like people are like, what in the fuck? Yeah. So we have challenges within the governmental system, which is like strictly patriarchy and like overturning women's rights already. I mean, like we're dealing with this shit all the time. But it's a fascinating thing. So like just to revamp or revisit this conversation of patriarchy. Patriarchy is a system and a structure that has been built by men, centered of men, for men, with no concern of women, no concern of like women's wants, women's needs, women as like just basic humans, or honoring of women or the divine feminine. Matriarchy is not the opposite. P.S. It's just not the opposite. Like, I don't think that dude actually fucking listened to our podcast. Okay. Like he just saw something that said matriarchy, patriarchy, and he went on and he's like trolling and like fucking commenting. I don't want to give him too much play, but like at the same time, I am like, what in the actual holy fuck that is all I'm going to say. So anyhow,
100%.
we digress. Okay. Let's get real. We're not real focused today. So let's get real focused now.
Let's get real focused. All right.
Receiving.
So going into receiving, Tamara, why do we think that women are not so great at receiving?
All right. So all of our divine feminine listeners, as you listen to this, just kind of do a quick check-in. All right. Inside of a patriarchal structure and a patriarchal model, we have been trained that our value in worth is connected to doing. That's it. So we have been taught, how many people, when we're like, we're coaching them, we're walking them through something, and we have to go like, okay, do you feel like it's more valuable or it's better to give than to receive? Like that is like number one we were taught when we were kids. Like it's better to give than to receive. I think they even said that like in the church, in with your family, in with like your learning centers, probably in school. And so you just go like, okay, well, better to give than to receive. It's ingrained in our DNA. And so we know we're always focused on what are we doing? What are we giving? How are we taking care of? And so you have this natural way that women are wired, how we've been made to care for everybody in our field, to think about everybody in our field, to think about the impact that our actions are having on other people. And then from there, we're in a doing society. And so we literally just don't value receiving, period. And so how many of you also listening, you get a compliment and you like brush it off. You like literally can't even like receive the compliment. And somebody's like, oh my God, you look so cute. And you're like, oh, this old thing. Or you're like, oh, I've had this for years. Or like, oh, did you see the pockets? I know pockets are a big fucking deal. Like we should actually eliminate the pockets. But are you also like, oh my God, thank you. I am feeling myself today. I am looking good today. Oh, I am the greatest thing since sliced bread. You are right. Okay. Because what we also think is there's like not enough praise to go around. There's like a limited, like we live inside of a patriarchal structure. We live in scarcity. So like if you give me a compliment, it's not like I can think that you're the greatest thing since sliced bread too. Only one of us could be the greatest thing since sliced bread. So if I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread, you aren't. If I win, you lose, right? Like there's like that is the structure
The
essentially.
competition between, like,
Yeah.
not just between men and women and pitting women against each
Hmm.
other in a patriarchal framework, for sure.
And to go back to this guy's fucking comment, right? In nature, there is no competition in nature. So when you look at animals in nature, an African safari, a king of a jungle, there's no competition. No, nothing is competing for each other. They're like, oh, I'll kill you if you like. I eat you, I kill you. That's not competition. That's like, I'm hungry, I'll eat you, motherfucker. You know, and
Hmm.
somebody might survive and somebody might not survive. You know, it's not a competition. That's not what's happening. Competition erupted out of like men boasting with men inside of mostly sports. Like it's sport.
Hmm.
It's not survival. It's sport.
That's interesting because I've never thought of it that way, that there's no competition in like natural structures, because I would maybe have related to that as
Mm-hmm.
competition.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, there's a difference between survival and the circle of life, if you will, versus like competing for sport.
For
And
sport.
I don't sense, I mean, I feel like maybe there are other animals that compete for sports or compete for like a
Humans.
partner.
Humans are the
No?
only ones that compete for sport. Like you have peacock feathers, or you have
Hmm.
all of like the male peacock is actually more beautiful than the female peacock because the male has to like strut its stuff
Hmm.
to have the women pick the man.
Hmm.
The woman is in charge of picking who she will mate with.
Hmm.
And so the man has to like prove the man has to prove his value. The man has to prove his worth. The man has to prove his beauty and his bounty to the female. Like that's what's happening in nature,
Hmm.
right? Ducks are the same. I think ducks, the most beautiful ducks are males and not the females. Like females are
Yeah.
brown. Males are like beautiful and green, right? Because men have to be more beautiful than the women. What the fuck happened in our society where men like especially Colorado men. What's going on with the Colorado man? You know what I mean? Like somebody was like, I saw this one creator and he was like, I saw this dude pull up out of his Mercedes van, right? In a Target. And you're like, okay, Mercedes vans are six figures, y'all. Okay. And he's like, he's scruffy. He looks like he hasn't showered. Like, it's like, what happened to men? Like, they just don't, like, there's zero effort for the woman,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
And like, really, it's the entitlement that men, I mean, a lot of our issues inside of our patriarchy systems is the entitlement of men. Like, men have become entitled because the system has been rigged in their favor. In nature, the system is not rigged in the man's favor. That is actually not natural. This homie with his comment really got me fired up today, I guess.
I can see that. Oh my goodness. Well,
It's so weird. I never get fired up.
you, a redhead, get fired up? I've never heard of
Who,
that.
me? It's in my blood, bitches.
Well, it's interesting talking about like what's natural or what's unnatural in
Hmm.
society, because it's like nature versus nurture, right? When it
Yeah.
comes to our roles in society, and then also um like going back to this receiving aspect.
Hmm.
So with, regardless of whether it's like natural nurture, nature versus nurture,
Yeah.
wi- with the limitations that have been bestowed upon us, given to us
Yeah.
as a little gift with a little bow on it.
It's just been around for fucking lifetimes. So we're just swimming in the limitations.
Yeah.
Yes.
What,
Mhm.
how do you sense that contributes to women who are in this like hustle culture, go, 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 do framework, who,
Mhm.
like that being in the way of the receiving that's there for them?
Well, I think it's a lot of when we work with women to free them up from the patriarchal constraints, which what we identify as like you're in this fishbowl, if you will, right? You're swimming around. You see, for our listeners, like you see the world in a particular way. That viewpoint of the world is your truth, your belief system, right? And so you're going to attract people with the same belief systems. You're going to attract situations that fortify your belief systems. Your thoughts, feelings, and actions are always going to be aligned with that belief system. And so the belief system inside of a patriarchal structure is limitation, scarcity, value and worth being connected to the doing, and a centering of men. So women in relationships naturally are looking for like, what is my, and these are hetero cis relationships, let's be clear, right? Which is predominantly, by the way, what the world is in, right? I wish we were all gay. I wish I was gay. I wish I could flip a switch. Like, that's how you know that like it's not a choice. If it was a choice, how many of our female listeners would be like, yes, me, please? Okay. However, that's like a majority. We're actually switching. It's kind of like the redheads are making a comeback too. I feel like the gays, theys, them, queers are like also making a comeback. Like maybe we're going to expand and like become like there'll be bigger percentages. Wouldn't that be fucking great?
What do you mean making a comeback?
Like bigger percent redheads?
No,
Or
like the
that's what I
LGBTQ
meant.
community.
No, that it's expanding. I think it's expanding. I think I think as humanity goes generation by generation, I feel like as an evolution of society, that particular subset of humanity is expanding, which I think is cool. No, redheads are making a comeback. That's what the redheads, what I mean by that is like the 1% to 2% is like increasing. So I'm getting super excited about that too. Anyways, I have all these theories on that. Anyhow, going back to what the fuck I was originally saying. So inside of hetero cis relationships, how much we centered the man's needs. And it's been like that for generations. So if you think of like the 1950s housewife, it was have dinner on the table at a particular time. What does my husband need? Da, da, da. And that was actually for survival of women. So a woman doesn't have a bank account, can't get a divorce, like is stuck, can't buy a house, can't earn income, right? And so the survival is based on tending to her captors. I mean,
Stockholm syndrome, anyone?
I mean, I think about grandma all the time and she's like, hey, don't get married. Just have a career, but don't get married. And
I
I'm
saw
like,
something that was like these housewives in the 50s and 60s that were making everything out of Jello. They were putting everything that was like their method of like torture for their husbands, like their little finger.
They were like, it's a beef Jello. And he's like, you put the beef in the Jello? She's like, it's like, beautiful. Just fucking eat it, asshat.
Yeah.
Like,
that was their little like rebellion,
torture.
Putting everything in Jello.
I love it. Okay, so hetero cis relationship has been trained to focus on the man in the system, in the ecosystem. And so the man has power and we have to tend to the man's needs. That is not natural, P.S. That was fucking constructed.
And I would say even outside of hetero cis relationships, like even if you are part of the LGBTQ community, like I grew up, like it was important that my dad's needs were taken care of more so than like mom's needs, right? Yeah. And even in like family structures or even in like friendship structures, sometimes we look to like have men's needs be taken care of first. And it's like inside of like a male centric, just because of the patriarchy society we live in a male centric society, not a female centric society.
Yeah, 100%. And so as a listener, one thing that somebody might think is, oh, well, if you're not tending, like if we stop tending to the man's needs and we tend to the women's needs, what happens to the man's needs? See, and that's scarcity. That's like either or. And you're like, that still is patriarchy, right?
Yeah.
Like, what would it be like to reframe it? Because women are always tending to everybody around us, period. We're always thinking about everybody. We're always tending to everybody. It's like the way our brains are wired. And so we have all, like, people make jokes. Like we have all these compartments opened up at the same time and da-da-da-da. It's like, yeah, that's how we're wired to think about how everything is interconnected. So it's not going to, like, it won't just go away. Mm-hmm. But if we center then the female, if we center the divine feminine, if we center the women in the household and in the relationships, that's where the magic starts to shift, change, and happen. But women have to be able to receive that. And so the missing link is in the receiving of attention, affection, adoration. I mean, adoration's a big one. A receiving of doing, a receiving of literally everything, love, expansion, energy, all of
Yeah.
it.
So, what are some signs that someone is blocking their ability to receive?
They doing too much and they burned out. Like that would be one. That's like the main one. Okay. Um, Again, some signs, I think it's like for people to kind of unpack the little by little things. So, like, can you receive a compliment? Can you receive a fucking criticism from some asshat on the internet? Yeah, I can receive that, but like, I mean, I think we should talk about it because it's some bullshit. Okay. Can you receive feedback from a job or something like that? Can you receive more money? Can you receive a gift of money or a gift of something really big that feels really uncomfortable? What
I'm
did
gonna
you want to
I'm
say?
gonna
Yeah.
add an I'm gonna add an asterisk. Can you
Yeah.
receive it without guilt, shame, and making yourself wrong for it?
100%. Like especially like if somebody does something for you, are you like, "Oh, I should have done that for myself. Oh, you shouldn't." Oh, like how many times you go, "Oh, you shouldn't have." No. Bitches should more. Do more. You know what I mean? Receive more, right?
Yeah.
Like we just have such a cap on our capacity to receive. And so the more that you open up to receiving from all the different ways, the more money you'll make, the more success you'll have, the more fulfillment you'll have, the more reciprocity that starts to happen. Like, because we're not, and I think this is a big one too. A lot of women are looking at like, oh, they look at their needs, right? And here's the interesting thing. Like if you are running on fumes and you're not getting your needs met and you're the only one that's tending to your needs and nobody else is, and you're tending to everybody else's needs, because that's kind of how it's like that's how we're all structured, by the way. Okay, how many women are built to think of everybody else's needs? We put everybody else's needs first, and then our needs comes last. And then if you're like me, you're like peeing in your pants, you know, like I forgot to go pee. Like I am so wired to forget to fucking go pee. I'm also so wired to like forget to eat. Like I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
meh, food. I'm actually not that like impressed by food either. Like, so if any listeners would like to impress me with food, I am open to receiving that. That sounds fantastic. So you just go like, I'm not that impressed by food. So like those needs go on the back burner and then everything else gets tended to. Now I am also a highly creative human. So I have like all sorts of, you know, projects and irons in the fire and things that I'm focused on too. So I love tending to all of my like creative endeavors as well. So anywho, so we aren't trained to focus on our needs. We've been trained to focus on other people's needs.
Mm-hmm.
The second you start opening to receiving and you're receiving more energy, attention, like food, water, bathroom time, whatever, self-care time, you start to fill these tanks up. And so think of like an energetic tank, or like your tank, is your tank empty? Is it full? Like how do you feel, right? The more that you fill that up, now you start to focus on, like your needs are met. So guess what kind of conversation you get to have? What do I want? So weird, right? And so you get to go from this like this deficit of my needs not getting met to my needs are met. Now what do I want? And so this is where the magic starts to happen, right? So you could even say consciously, unconsciously, probably unconsciously, some of the effects of patriarchy are to keep women in such a deficit that we never get to actually talk about what we want or create what we want or live in a reality where we start to expand into the want phase, right?
Because how many conversations do we have with people, our clients, or even like in our community where it's like, what do you want? And they're like, I don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't
Or
know.
I don't want this. I
Uh-huh.
don't want XYZ, but you never really
Mm-hmm.
get to like what you do want. And
Mm-hmm.
that's like the muscle that we really get to build with
Mm-hmm.
people is like how to even explore or expand what you do want. Because that's not
Yeah.
a normal conversation that we have. But I think before we go any further, I feel like we have to define what does it even mean to receive? Like,
Ah.
what does that even look like? I think you have a really great like metaphor example, but like
Mhm.
what does that mean to you?
So for everybody listening, like you can just kind of take a breath for a moment, like a big inhale in, fill up your lungs and your whole body, and then exhale. And then sit in that state of like, there's like a slightly different state that gets activated, like a little bit more still, a little bit more peace, a little bit more calm, right? And then think of being that still and that peace and that calm. And instead of a moment, think about it for like, that's how your day is. So in the still and the peace and the calm, consider that things come to you in that. And you don't actually have to do anything to have the thing come to you. And so that's like a snippet of receiving, right? So we could say in the stillness and the calm, if y'all, anybody who has a family or animal, when you're still and you're calm and you're sitting on a couch and you're literally not doing anything. So it's not like I'm scrolling on my phone or I'm watching TV. Could be, but like just consider you're not. The animal comes to you, the kid comes to you, your significant other will come to you. And maybe you don't want anybody to come to you because you're so fucking fed up. And you're like, God damn it, leave me alone. Okay. But like they come to you because you're now in a receiving mode.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's like the fundamental basis of like, if you wanted to shift into receiving, you would know it happens right there. Okay. So the more that you can be in that still, in that calm, in that space of not doing, things just start to come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you want to come to you? That would be like working with the antenna and the receivers. Like, you're tuning your like dish network. I don't want this. Okay, good. I don't want this. I don't want this. Okay, like, but I do want this over here. Okay, so now you got a little bit better. But like that is like receiving mode. Like very simply put. Okay. Does that track?
Yeah, that tracks. And I was gonna say you've also had a really great metaphor of like standing out in the rain and being
Yep.
able to receive the rain.
Yeah.
Like not just having an umbrella, not just having like a raincoat on, not being like, ah, fuck, it's raining again. I'm so mad at the
Yeah.
rain. But just like standing outside with your arms open and receiving the rain and like not having being present with it and not having anything else
Yeah.
going on about it.
Yeah. Well, and it really goes back to like years of training. So 15 years of really training myself to live beyond the human limitations. Okay. Inside of every training I've ever done, every training I've ever given, everything I'm out to activate with people and humanity on the planet is like there is human limitation. That's how we operate, we function. Okay. So if you think you're limited, you're going to try to repel everything you don't like, everything that feels icky, everything that is not XYZ. You get to decide, right? But if you zoom out and you look at like your soul, higher consciousness, human consciousness, whatever you want to call like your higher self, we'll just say higher self for now. Okay. Like your higher self incarnated to feel all the things and experience all the things. The human is the judger. So in order to be able to receive more love, more money, more business success, you have to be able to receive all the energies, not just some of the energies. And the more that you like, and it's a two-part because you want to fine tune your like dish network to like the channel you want. But as you're fine tuning, you're like, okay, so some asshat on the internet is going to do asshatty internet-y things, you know? And you're like, okay, I can receive that. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. And we're going to spat off about it, you know? But like, so what? I'm going to stand out in the rain and receive the rain droplets. I don't need an umbrella. I'm bigger than that dude. I'm like the greatest thing since sliced bread. I am an infinite being having this human experience. And part of the human experience is all of these different experiences, essentially. And so to reflect one pretty much channels like to the universe, like, I don't want this. But sometimes the universe doesn't know what the this is. So then if you're deflecting one, you may be deflecting the money, and you may be deflecting the success, and you may be deflecting the ease. You just don't know. Like, so to train yourself and like, can I actually receive any energy? And the more that you are a yes to receiving any energy, and then you fine tune your dish network system to the right channel, you'll just start receiving all the good stuff. But it's like a two-part system in that.
And it's interesting because, like, being on Divine Feminine Radio, like, the divine feminine energy of receiving is like totally divine feminine. Like, being able to just sit back and receive energy and money and information and opportunities without having to do anything for it. Like, it's such a energy of owning your worth and owning your value, so much so that you don't have to earn anything that comes to you. Like, would you say that that's accurate?
Yeah, I think you get to choose and you get to play with it. Like, I think I was talking to you, I was like, are you on Findom TikTok and like Hey Pig TikTok? Like, what is this about? This is like so wild, you know? And it's like women who are like, I'm going to get paid for existing. And it's like, okay. And we had somebody who worked in our company for a while, and then she had created a list of like 280 ways she had received money, right? Because it was kind of an experiment for her. And like the feet pictures, no joke, man. Like, men who just like, I will give you money to look at your feet. Like, go have a pedicure. Let me send you money. Like, and you see these women and you're like, wait, what? And Findom is like financial dominance, right? And so they'll be like, you just need to send me $1,500 and don't be a poor bastard about it. Okay. And like, they want that. And you're like, okay, like that's like, are you willing to embody that energy? And if so, like, there's money avenues, you know? And so if there's no judgment about it, there's like 80 million different ways you could just receive money, you know?
Yeah. 100%.
I digress because that was a really good tangent. I'm like, really, really like, what is going on over there?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, being that receiving is such a divine feminine energy, like, what is the best way for somebody who's been in this constant, like, go, do hustle to start embodying more of that receiving energy? You can be a broken record. It's okay.
Because you know what I'm going to say, bitch. It's to calm the nervous system. We are so, like, you have to re-regulate your nervous system, okay? Like, and it's, and the reason I started focusing on this was because when Cece was a baby, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I had this instinct to just tend to the nervous system with her. And then that grew out like a whole nother branch of our trainings and our methodology, which is regulate your nervous system. If your nervous system is regulated, it's that breath we took earlier, that ease and that peace in the cells and in your DNA. And that's where you start to attract. So if you're trying to attract from scarcity, from not enough time, not enough money, so that's all like toxic. So it's toxic feminine, trying to attract a toxic masculine to fix something. And so you don't get into the divine feminine. Okay. So the regulation of the nervous system, the prioritization of ease, the prioritization of like stillness, right? And so a lot of my life is just baked in with all of that. And I prioritize it. I am such a no bitch to my kid. I say no all the time. She loves me for it. And that's the fascinating thing. Like, we talk about why I say no. We talk about why I say no all the time. She loves me for it. She loves her nervous system getting regulated, right? And so I'm training her from the get-go.
Say more about that, because I think that's something that a lot of women have trouble doing, is saying no and like filling their plates and doing too much. So especially for people who are getting more into receiving rather than doing everything, like, what are some things that get in the way of us just saying no?
Oh, they're going to be disappointed. I'm going to let them down. But I can do it myself. Yeah, bitch, just because you can don't mean you should.
Or that you have to. Just because
Yeah.
you're capable of it doesn't mean that you have to do it.
That's patriarchy. Yeah. And so, well, if you can, you should. Patriarchy, right? And so, and here's the deal. Women have a higher pain tolerance. Women have a higher capacity to create. Women can see everything following through. I think women think faster than a lot of men. And so inside of that, how many women listening will be like, I'll just do it myself. That's not happening. I'll just do it by myself. Okay. That is literally like crushing your nervous system. Okay. The ability to sit on your hands and have somebody else learn and trust that they will figure it out and trust that they can do it, and being willing to train the environment. Like, you have to retrain the environment. I did a lot of that, right? I even do, like, I do it with my daughter, right? I train her and sometimes I retrain her and I talk about it. And that's instilling in her, like, when she's here with me, she's like, Mommy, I'll make you the coffee. Fantastic. When she's with her dad, Daddy served me. Fantastic. That's fine. He can do that with her and she can do that with me, right? So it's like, sit on your hands, stop offering, allow somebody else to do, and sit back and receive. And say no more.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening. Real quick, if you resonated with anything we've said so far or had any new insights, chances are someone in your circle needs to hear this too. Think about that gal that's ready for her next breakthrough to step more fully into her divine feminine. Take 10 seconds and share this episode with them. Your share could be the catalyst for her next transformation. You got your person? You sent it to them? Okay, cool. Let's get back to the episode. And what do you sense is the difference between saying no and setting boundaries as like hard boundaries? Because I know that's something that you said before that you don't love is like hard boundaries versus like parameters or versus saying no.
Right. So we have to rewind to the previous part of the conversation. I love that you asked me that because I think a lot of our listeners could really like benefit from this. Okay. So in the previous part of this conversation, what we talked about is like owning that you're an infinite being. Like, I am the greatest thing since sliced bread. I own my power. I own that I'm an infinite being. I travel in multidimensional spaces. I can heal shit. I am connected to all time, space, dimensional reality. I am like dancing with the goddesses and the goddesses and the gods, and like work with ascended masters. If you're Christian and you're listening to this, you should be chatting with Jesus on the reg, okay? And like, so it's like this can move through if you're atheist, agnostic, like you can play with this, by the way, okay? And any sort of Hindu, I love all my Hindu deities, and if you're Jewish, like, you can literally be any religion and start to honor this. Because for me, every single teacher and every single ascended master and every single teaching from a goddess perspective was all like, Jesus was like, I incarnated to show you that you can heal people too, that we are no different. And like literally every spiritual teacher or energetic practice I have ever taken from anyone was always about us empowering that aspect. That's what we incarnated for. Okay. So the second you set a boundary, most of the energy, when you set a boundary, you literally are like, oh, he's doing this to me. To stop it, I have to set a boundary. And it dismisses all of your power. And I think that's really important. So I'm going to try to like articulate that potentially another way. Or you could jump in and articulate. But I feel like our listeners really need to hear that, right? So if you're like, I set boundaries here and I set boundaries there. First is you cut off the energy. So you're now like, there's a boundary. You're not connected to the intuition. You're not connected to the person. You're not connected to all time, space, dimension, reality. And you made yourself less than. You made yourself so limited with human limitations that, and you became that person and that small person, and that person became a bigger person doing something to you, that the only way to survive was to set a boundary. That cuts off magic, that cuts off intuition, that cuts off all of our expansiveness. That's why I don't like boundary, okay? However, I am a fierce no motherfucker if you've ever seen one, and I will tell you exactly how it's gonna go. And that for me has a different energy. So I know that I'm the dominant energy in my life. I know I'm the dominant energy in my creations. I know that life is gonna go my way. So I say no all the time. Now, some people may go, well, you say no, so that's a boundary. I don't, you can fucking interpret my story any way you want to interpret it. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is I'm directing the energy every moment of the day the way I want it to go. Mm-hmm. And if you're listening and you're like, well, then somebody else is gonna not get something, then you're in scarcity. And you're in not enough, and you're in either or, and you're in patriarchy, and that's not where I live either. So I say no, and everybody gets their needs met. I say no, and everybody's tended to. And I say no, and I can hold a bigger vision for everybody in the space, and I do that. And that for me has integrity.
Mm-hmm. And I think what I hear in your distinction between boundaries and like parameters per se, and I don't think for anybody listening, I don't think it's like about the specific words that you use. Like if this is what a boundary means to you, then by all means, like set boundaries. That's completely fine. But my sense is the difference in boundary and parameter is like boundary is cutting off the energy. So it's like, I feel disempowered when someone does this to me, and now I have to ensure this person doesn't do this to me again. Like there's an at the effect of in some way, and it's a front of the hand, back of the hand, where you're not being in power. You're just trying to block off the other person's power in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, does that track?
You're trying to survive a situation.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying they're doing something to me, and in order to survive, I have to like stop this thing. And you're like, okay, but like there's no infiniteness. There's no connected to all time, dimension, and reality. There's no divinity in that. And so that's fine if you need to do that, and that's where you've been. I'm offering a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. And then so the different perspective is like, I am the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm connected to divinity. There is nothing that is more powerful than me. Like, I'm going to direct this situation in a particular way. Like, hey, so-and-so, this doesn't work for me. This is what I'm requesting instead. If this doesn't get fulfilled on, then this is how it's going to go for me. Or like, we'll stop talking, or we'll stop hanging out, or I will stop doing this with you for you.
Yeah.
Rather,
100%. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I was going to say, like, I think the distinction is like a boundary is like, you can't do this to me. And a parameter is like, I will stop doing this if this doesn't get fulfilled on, or if this doesn't XYZ.
And a prime example of that is like what happened with our dad, right? It was like, you were there. I was living in the house. I trigger some like deep-seated bullshit in him. He starts acting out. It is completely inappropriate. And on that particular week, and this is like, and for those of you who don't know, I owned a beach house with my father. We were both owners. I put lots of money into that house. There was no freeloading happening. And interestingly enough, however I was being, like my being just started triggering him. And his granddaughter, my daughter, was set to fly out and meet us and like spend time with him and me, like coming from Colorado. And he just went down some rabbit hole of real ickiness. Like, you were there, you know. Okay. And I just was like, look, if this continues, if you continue doing this, because this doesn't work for me. I don't appreciate how you're talking to me. I don't appreciate how you're treating me. This is part of my house. I'm not here on, say, just a vacation. I actually live here, and none of this works. So if this continues, Cece's not coming out. She's supposed to be out in 2 days. She's not coming. I'm not having her in this energy, first and foremost. B, we're going to have to figure out how to sell this house because I'm not going to co-own a house with somebody who treats me like this. Okay. And you can continue to do what you're doing, but that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. And it went that way. And option A and B both happened. Okay. So that's like, and like, so if you're listening and you're like, oh yeah, you set boundaries, no, that's fine. I look at it like I'm directing the energy. This is what's showing up in my field. And I'm real swiftly going to change that. And I can change the things I can control, which is, am I going to stay in this house? No. Is my daughter going to stay in this house? No. Am I going to have my daughter ever around somebody who treats me like that? Absolutely fucking not. And I pull her from any situation where anybody would disrespect me.
I want to say with boundaries, like if this was about, but this is my interpretation solely, right?
Isn't it so fabulous? We're going down the boundary rabbit hole.
I mean, I think it could be appropriate with receiving for sure.
100%.
My interpretation of boundary, if you would have set a boundary, would have been like, you're acting this way to me, and I'm setting a boundary that you can't do that to me anymore, period. With no like on the other side if this keeps happening. And then let's say he doesn't change and this behavior keeps happening, then you may feel like, wow, he crossed my boundary. I still feel powerless that he's crossing my boundary. Now what do I do now that he's crossing my boundary? Like there's that disempowerment that comes when somebody like crosses.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think that's why I don't like it, right? Is because in the background, you're powerless to do anything about it. And for me, I'm like, everybody's the fucking greatest thing since sliced bread. Everybody has like infinite power. Like to be like, you can't do this and I'm powerless to it and did it. Like, because then you're just constantly trying to change somebody else. It's like, fuck, just leave.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm leaving. You know, and there were so many repercussions that like, I am so bold in my stance, by the way, you know, for those of you who don't know, my father and I hadn't even fully owned the house for a year. And so like capital gains tax, yes, buddy, you know, issues with the real estate agent because he lived there and I didn't. Yeah, buddy. And I still fucking navigated all that. But like, I'm steadfast and like, if you do this, then I'm going to do this. And I always do that. And by the way, parenting is so easy when your kid knows you follow through. Becomes fucking breeze.
I think that's the missing piece with most boundaries. It's like, I'm setting this boundary that you can't cross it anymore. If you cross, like, oh, if they cross it, now I don't know what to do. Now I feel powerless that they cross my boundary. I'm just going to keep reiterating, don't do that. But then I still feel powerless to this action. Versus if you keep doing this, I will do X, Y, Z. I will stop talking to you. I will stop hanging out with you. I will X, Y, Z. And the follow through, doing what you say you're going to do, if that's like the thing that you say that you're going to do.
Yeah. And I think it's like that redirects the energy of your entire reality. And so I think that's more powerful. Like that will give you freedom in ways you've never seen. And for me, again, that has like ultimate integrity. So when people, you know, if you feel like you're integritous or you want to have integrity, like for me, it's like you said, if this happens, then I'm going to do that, then go do that. And just be like very clear. And then what happens is the universe responds. You're so clear. The universe knows what you want. The universe knows what you're not going to stand for. The universe knows like what your desires are because it's so bold and clear. And then you start to receive more of what you want versus the don't want. And so I think that's a clear pathway into like this receiving energy too.
100%. Because when you keep experiencing situations that you don't want, but you keep perpetuating them, the universe is like, oh, you like them. You like perpetuating that. You don't have a problem with it. You're not doing anything about it. So let me keep giving you things that you don't want because you're not doing anything about it.
100%, which goes back to our energy of our thoughts, feelings, and actions being aligned, right? And so like, yeah, like how many times have we chatted with somebody who's like, well, my husband, X, Y, and Z. How long's your husband been doing that? since we were married for like 10 years. And you're like, what in the actual fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, have you talked to him? Well, kind of. Okay. Well, then what you're telling the universe is you like this, but I don't like it. But you're staying there. You're having the same conversations over and over. And like nothing's changing. You haven't actually changed anything. Well, he hasn't changed anything. No, this is about you, right? So like that is you're communicating to the universe. I like this situation. So there's no integrity in it, right? There's no like, because you're saying I don't like it when in actuality you're doing the thing, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's like one example.
Well, I think that's really helpful to distinguish boundaries and parameters.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for women who are in this like go, 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 do, do, do hustle and
Mm-hmm.
trying to step more into their receiving mode to be able to set boundaries, parameters, whatever you want to call it, so that other people can take on some of this load that they may be like having all on them, right?
Yeah, look, I think most women in this like loop feel like I'm the only one that's gonna do it,
Or I'm the
right?
only one that can do it the right way.
Right. And so it's the allowance of somebody else like to come in and do it better than you. So that's like an egoic thing. You have to be like, are you open to somebody coming in doing it better than you?
Hmm.
Are you open to receiving like more than you could ever imagine? Are you open to receiving it better than you could do it? You know what I mean? Like there are all these like preconceived notions that kind of fall in the background that you get to go like, you get to examine for yourself, you know?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, inside this energy of receiving and doing nothing, I feel like you have really embodied that this week. Why don't you tell us a bit about your week and how that's gone for you, Tamara?
Which portion?
The one of
Where
you,
have I...
the one
Which
about you receiving and doing nothing, and all these men that are coming by and doing things for you and just taking care of your house.
I mean, I do. I have created. So like I remember if we rewind back, to different home improvement projects where shit went awry, people didn't do what they say they were going to do. Like it was like a terroristic shit show. And the thing that changed was my energy. And you guys have to get this. Like if you want your reality to change your energy. That's what changes your reality consistently. And so like, before of like men walking off the job, men telling me how terrible I am, men being like one contractor with my bathroom remodel, he was like smoking in my driveway with some of his other contractors. And he was like, I like walked out, I was like, hey, that shit's gonna kill you. He's like, well, if it's not my wife or you, might as well be cigarettes. And I was like, did you just say that to me? And I'm supposed to pay you money? This is so weird. And so thinking that I know better, thinking I'm right, having some scarcity in the background if something's going to go wrong or something is like not going to get handled well or like whatever that is, I've been releasing that throughout the years, like little by little by little and identifying it and deconstructing it and like where does it come from and like what is this about women and men and my mom and how my mom was and like all this stuff. Okay. So now in this remodel, like I've just noticed everything has been flowing. Like have there been issues? Sure. Have we been delayed on things? Sure. But like a solution to, like and contractors are known for being like, "Oh, we have a problem." I'm like, "There's no problem. There's only solutions. Tell me what's up, and like, and I can have a solution real quick, And so what's been showing up is, yeah, like I need the plumber to come back and like redo the fittings, but like my sink's coming on Thursday. Can he come on Friday? And he's like, I can't come on Friday. I'm going out of town. I'm like, okay, I can get a handyman here on Friday, but like, could you come and do your pipe fittings? He's like, I can be there Monday. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. That's like tomorrow. I love it. Okay, he's coming tomorrow. Literally everything schedule wise has just kind of flow. And I also have to like chillax me a little bit because I'm an Aries and I want shit done now, and I fucking like come, and I'm a redhead. I'm like coming in like fire hot, and I'm like, we can get this done in 2 weeks, and everybody's like, you know. So I have to calm myself down too to allow the receiving. And so it's like, yeah, the kitchen's like getting remodeled, and my laundry room's getting remodeled, and there's cabinets in the, you know, it's like that allowance, receiving. Am I doing things? Sure. I'm on Lowe's, clicking that button, ordering things. But then I also found out like Lowe's, like you can go pick up Lowe's will go and shop for you, and you can just go pick it up at their pickup window. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is amazing. I don't have to walk through Lowe's and wonder what fucking aisle I got to go down to get a fucking pipe fitting. I just go on the thing and like put it. It's like free pickup. I'm like, I'm in. And so there's so many like options of ease if you're looking for ease, which I am. You know, and so, yeah, it's been contractor after contractor, like serving the divine in a really divine way.
Yeah. So then what would you say is like the distinction for you between divine feminine of receiving and divine masculine of like divine action, and how to balance both of those things for yourself?
Well, I think we're talking the women, not necessarily the men. Okay. So for the women, you have like start with your nervous system and start with the ease fill. Like you just have to start with the ease fill, because a lot of women want to shift their toxic doing to divine masculine doing real fast without the like calm your nervous system, like calm yourself down, bitch. Okay. You know? And so when you're calm, you can see the divine action with very little effort. So if there's a lot of effort and not a lot of return, take a break and fucking have a bath. Okay. You're doing too much, or you're trying to do too much. Okay. And it's like, go have a bath or sit in nature, or like recalibrate yourself. And then when you come back, what's available is very little effort for very maximum return.
I just got this visualization that was like, if you're trying to receive, if you're trying to receive more money or opportunity or relationship, you name it, you're trying to receive more, but you're constantly doing things. You're trying to do all this outreach or doing all these actions to like, in order to get the thing. It's almost like you're a moving target. Like the universe is trying to throw these darts at you, these darts of opportunities and money and whatever, but you're just a moving target moving around everywhere, and it can't reach you unless you slow down and stop and do nothing.
Yes. Yeah. And so the slowing down and the stopping allows it to like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I just got that in my head. I thought I'd share.
Great. I love it. It's a great visual.
Awesome. Well, before we close out the episode today, I feel like I just have a question for a listener that may be like, I feel guilty when I'm not being productive. I feel like I have to be in this like go do, like this was me like 5 years ago. Like I feel worthy and valued when I do things. I get my worth out of how much I do, and I feel guilty when I'm not doing things. So for somebody who may be in that space and in that energy, how to like just stop and do nothing, how to get over that, how to like overcome it, if you will.
You're gonna start by meditation. I meditate with Cece 5 minutes every night when she's with me. And honestly, she won't tell you it outright. It's become her non-negotiable. She won't tell you that. Okay. And even a little 9-year-old, and she's like, she got told this like last 2 weeks at school or something. She got told by her teacher, Cece, you're just too much energy, you know? And Brian, now, mind you, she has a lot of energy. So, like, her teachers didn't say it right, but her teacher's also not wrong. Do you know what I mean? She just didn't execute the conversation appropriately. But Brian saw it in real time. They went into his, like, work office with her. And I was like, like, with the person at the front desk. And then him and Cece kind of bopped out. She's like, whoa, that was a lot. And Brian saw it in real time, right? Like he just wasn't privy to it. I'm like, we're just used to it. Like we recalibrate ourselves for it, you know? So my point is like even that high energy, rambunctious redhead, right? Is like for 5 minutes, it's the practice of being still and not moving. Like that's literally what I say. I'm like, look, follow exactly what's on the meditation. It's me talking.
We have a free 20-day meditation series. We'll put it in the description for you.
Yeah, it's me talking, and it's the 5 minute one. And look, in 5 minutes, I follow my own meditation. I conk the fuck out. I go into another realm. It's amazing, you know? And like for her, sometimes she's asleep. I don't even have to do anything else. Like she's done. And so it's that calming response, being able to master that calming response to be, which allows you to receive. Because I think what I heard you say is like trying to receive. If you're trying to receive, you're actually not doing the thing because you're trying to do the thing. You just have to do the thing. Yoda say. You remember what Yoda said? Yoda said, do or do not. There is no try. In whatever fucking accent Yoda had. Okay. So I don't do a Yoda accent. So it's really just like the practice. And so meditation, like if you join the 20-day meditation, I've been meditating for years with different trainings and masters. It is the foundation of my success, frankly. But the practice of meditation is not about being able to sit still for 2 hours. That's not the practice of meditation. The practice of meditation is being able to take that mindset and that skill set and that ability to literally every area of your life all day long. So do I get triggered? Sometimes. It's rare. It's real rare that I like fly off the handle and have no control over it. Do I respond? Oh, fuck yeah. I got some responses for you motherfuckers. Okay. But like I am usually 98% of the time conscious in the response. That's divine as well. That's divine masculine, divine feminine. I don't fucking care. It's like, it's just divine that I'm not flying off and reacting. So you want to receive more, but you're like patterned to go, do. You have to just like, you have to stop. How do you stop? You get present, you get still, become aware, breathe. And like, honestly, that starts with a morning practice and an evening practice. Y'all, that's what we do with our clients all the time. It's like activating that morning practice, activating that evening practice to be still. So you start your day and end your day in that. So like I put my heating pad, like I love realigning my spine at night now. I don't know if this is an age thing, I'm perimenopause thing. I don't know what this is, but like, you know, the body's achy and creaky sometimes. And so like aligning, like laying flat in my bed, heating pad on my back, meditation before I go to sleep. And I'm like, I'm snoring with the it'll be 9 o'clock. I'm like, motherfucker, I should go to sleep now.
Oh my gosh.
And it's the more that you do that, like that's a re-regulation of the nervous system, frankly. You know,
Yeah.
it's like get in deep calm state.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. Well, I think that gives a bit of direction for people to access more of their receiving. I think we covered a lot today so that our women can access more receiving because that's really like what we're all about and what we're here for. Tamara, do you have any other like key insights or nuggets for us today?
Look, biggest takeaway, activating and embodying that receiving is a fierce act against the patriarchy. That's a bold stance against everything that the patriarchy stands for. And not only will your life be better, but you're going to create a ripple effect for other women. And that's really like everything I do. I'm always like, how am I being a stand for the planet and the world and like consciousness and femininity and women everywhere? And like, I'm always right there. So think of it that way if you need like some North Star guiding you. You know, it's not just about you. It's not just about like meditating before you go to bed. Like that's no, who the fuck cares? Like do it for humanity. Do it for the rising matriarchy.
Yeah. If you're like, one final note I'll say is like, if you're meditating for 5 minutes in the morning and then you turn around and you're stuck in traffic and some asshole cuts you off and you go, fuck you, you
Yeah.
cut me off, then the meditation means nothing. And it's like, there's
Yeah.
no point in it. But to your point, like taking that mindset and that state of mind with you, like throughout every moment of the day is the importance or the purpose of it for sure.
100%. The other day, I got flipped off by some dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was something in the car, right? It was like somebody turned. It was my turn to turn. He didn't think it was my turn to turn. So it was like, fuck you, you know? And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, he's so cute. He needs a V8. What the hell? Do you remember those commercials?
Yeah.
He needs a V8. I was
Oh my
like,
gosh.
he's that's cute.
He's
Had a reaction.
special.
He's special. And I had like nothing going on about it, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
All right. All right, friends. We will see you next week. Thanks for being on with us. Thanks for expanding your divine feminine with us. Keep making magic, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're so grateful you'd spend an hour with us, shifting your perspective and expanding your divine feminine power. If today's conversation resonated with you, help us grow. Rate the show, subscribe, and keep following for more. And find me on LinkedIn. It's my favorite way to connect. Remember, we're here every Tuesday with new episodes. But until then, you can uncover your next level expansion with our Divine Feminine Archetype Quiz. Find out your personal Divine Feminine expression, the blocks keeping you from accessing it, and get a step-by-step pathway to embodying your authentic expression. Link is in the description. Or if you're ready to work with a coach to fully access your Divine Feminine capacities, schedule a one-on-one discovery session with me, also in the description. Until next time, keep honoring your Divine Feminine magic. Tamara, it is so good to back
me up. Get back in it.
Tamara is an expert. Jesus Christ, I'm not reading, and now I don't know what to say anymore.
Welcome
Okay.
to the shit show, friends and fans. Are we gonna have a reel of bloopers for this?
I guess so. Jesus
You're like,
Christ.
it's a blooper day.
All right. Let's do
What
this one
happens
more
on
time.
these?
Third time's the charm.
AI, could you pull out all of our bloopers? That'd be great. What the fuck?
All right, one more time. Third time's the charm.